What better place for investors to find innovative companies than at leading colleges and universities? They not only develop the tech, but lead the charge into the marketplace. Today we talk to Brian Demers of BTI, that's Brown Technology Innovations, and learn about his event September 26th, which this year will feature AI and give investors a chance to look under the hood at what's brewing with startups on the Hill. That's College Hill in Providence, Rhode Island. Welcome to a special edition of The Angel Nest, where real angel investors and entrepreneurs partner to build great new companies. I'm David Hemingway. I'm a 5-time founder, now an active angel investor, and my mission here is to tell the stories that are powering innovation. Brown University has become a big player in tech innovation, including life sciences, software, Greentech, and more. They put Brown developed technology first, but partner with innovators and entrepreneurs everywhere to launch and lead solutions into the marketplace that can solve some of society's biggest problems. Their At Brown Innovation Showcase happens this year on September 26th in Providence, and will feature some amazing startups and some companies that are a little further along. And here to tell us about them and to tell us about the new AI theme is Brian Demers from BTI. Brian, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, David. It's great to be here.
So I had the pleasure of attending last fall's kickoff event, which was incredibly well attended, and now you're coming back and making this a regular feature of fall in New England.
Yeah, that's right. It's a blessing of having it be a hit one time around. Everyone is now demanding it. And what's great about it is, last year for the first event, we had to do a fair amount of promoting and convincing people that they needed to come. They did show up. Now they're chomping at the bit to come back. And that's really the intent here, is to generate interest and energy, about what's going on at Brown, but also around Brown.
I had an early boss who used to say the proof of the pudding is not in the eating, but in the second helping.
That's right. That's exactly right.
I think there's something to that. So Thorne Sparkman, you're the managing director of the Slater Fund. Thanks for joining us today. It's a not-for-profit seed fund dedicated to supporting new venture development in Rhode Island. I know you and Brian have done a lot of work together. Appreciate you being here.
Glad to be here, David.
What is it about that Rhode Island ecosystem that seems to have caught fire in the last couple of years, Thorne?
Yes, David, the increase in momentum in Rhode Island has been pretty high in the last few years. I think part of it is that there is a Cambridge Innovation Center that brings a focus to all the energy that might have been diffused before. I think part of it is that Brown as a university has put a greater focus on entrepreneurship as a way to commercialize their intellectual property. And I think there have been some key hires in the upper echelons and in the professor ranks of the university. And these days, those are very competitive positions. And professors that work in technology expect that to be a part of their job.
You know, Thorne, one of the things I learned early on as an investor is that investors really like two things. They really like IP and they really like non-dilutive funding. And those are two things that seem to be much more plentiful coming out of universities, companies coming out of universities, than in the general marketplace.
Sure. I mean, if you just stack up the best funded labs in Rhode Island, that gives you a pretty good roadmap to where the most progress will have been made. So we do that all the time. And what better secret weapon could you have than a world expert with $10 million to go down a bunch of different paths before emerging?
Exactly. Tell us about the Slater Fund and some of the interesting investments you've made that have been connected with Brown.
Sure. Well, we had a pretty prolific year in the last year. We invested in things coming out of Brown Labs, things like Phoenix AI, which is a new take on digital twins and other engineering problems. We invested a bunch in life sciences, in autoimmune disease and in neurogenesis, and we also invested in things as different as medical device companies that went to Brown for help creating new products, and even in the fintech space.
Brian, tell me about Brown's mandate and how you allocate your resources among the different sectors, or do you even do that? Is it just a matter of the best opportunities get your attention?
Yeah, so we look at every invention disclosure idea in our office with kind of an even hand. And what we're looking for is, do we have compelling data? Do we think that there's enough room to create an intellectual property kind of wall around it? Because that's really what companies are going to need or startups are going to need. And then do we think that it's got applicability, really important applicability commercially in a market? And it could be that there are multiple markets, but we need to eventually land on one. So if it crosses all of those lines or all of those hurdles, then we pursue it, and we have the budget to pursue that. We can't pursue everything, so we're trying to be, as selective as we can. But it's very early. You're making bets on early compelling data. Certainly, the interested faculty and students, but we've invested in things in the life sciences, on the therapeutic side, on med device, on software, on novel materials. So it really spans the gamut, frankly.
And what else do you do to help them get to market?
So in addition to that early work to understand, is there something we can protect and market and license? We actually do a fair amount of work on trying to understand out markets and where could this fit. On top of that, we actually engage regularly with teams like Thorne from Slater and Wright Hill, and other investors that have segment expertise. We also work with a curated list that we developed for entrepreneurs who may be looking for their next gig, and can we make a fit? So we do a lot of matchmaking, both on the investment side and on the entrepreneurship side as well.
And you even took the operation on the road this year, right? You had events here in New York that I attended and one in Boston as well.
Yeah, we're a traveling roadshow now. So again, the showcase is really an opportunity to shout from the highest mountain and to really tell people that they need to pay attention to what's going on at Brown, in Providence, in southeastern New England. There's a rich source of opportunities, but sometimes we realize that you have to go to them. So we took a small group of very promising ventures to New York in the spring, and we had a good audience that were there, primarily investors. And then we took a different group of promising ventures, more in the tech and AI side, up to Boston a little later in the spring. And the goal is, again, to extend the reach, get people to pay attention, and hopefully get even more people down here for the big event in the fall.
Great. So tell us about that and tell us kind of the AI stuff that you're going to be doing because everybody's very interested and focused on that.
Yeah, so the event will be Thursday, September 26th, from 3 to 7 p.m. at the CIC building in Providence at 225 Dyer. And like last year, it's a 4-hour event. Where the first hour, people show up, register, and network with 20 to 25 ventures that we've selected. And it's a pretty selective process. We can't take everybody, so we try to provide a good mix that represents everything that's going on at Brown. And then we have a seated portion where we talk about what we think are important events. And this year we've got an AI theme. Last year was about ecosystem building and development and how you need partners to actually deliver and develop interesting new startups. This year it's going to be more AI themed. So we'll talk about interesting topics in AI and health, and then kind of the future of AI technology. So we'll have some very thought-provoking conversations around that. And then the last hour will be more networking with the ventures and with the attendees. Of the ventures, we're looking for ventures. They're not all AI connected, which is somewhat unusual because so many startups these days are saying they're AI. We're trying to find people that are using AI and machine learning in really innovative ways, and understand the application and the impact. So we've recently, as Thorne mentioned, started a company called Phoenix AI, that spun out of Brown, and it's approaching engineering design from a very different perspective. And it's not about replacing designers. It's about giving them much better tools to get to better answers faster. And we think, if you look at AI and machine learning across the board, can we get to better decisions, whether it's in health or in tech? So you'll see ventures that are very early that we think are quite interesting and are looking at AI and machine learning in a very unique way.
Yeah, I want to ask Thorne about that. Thorne, where do you think the money's going to be made in AI?
Oh gosh. At this point, as Brian said, there's a little bit of artificial intelligence in so many things that it almost makes me pine for the days of human intelligence. We're starting to see kind of a second generation of tools now in AI, whether it's for preparing the data to train up neural networks or platforms that host these applications. So I think we're starting to see now the the maybe less gold miners and more people making the shovels and blue jeans that are gonna make for an entire industry. That would be my prediction for the next wave of big exits.
It sounds like every investor interested in AI ought to come to Providence on September 26th.
I think so.
Ryan,
Yes.
Brian Demers from Brown Technology Innovations, Thorne Sparkman from the Slater Fund. Thank you both so much for joining us today.
Thank you, David.
thanks, David.
You can find contact information for our guest today at our website, theangelnest.com, where you can also reach me if you know of an exciting business opportunity that we should talk about. We produce The Angel Nest with help from Rob Higley and Charles DeMontebello at the controls of CDM Studios at the historic Art Deco Film Center building just west of Times Square in New York. I'm David Hemingway. Thanks for listening. Here's hoping my fellow angels and the founders they support find their next great venture. So long until next time.